Mira Business FM. The sound of success.
This is the Morning Drive at Mira Business FM, and it's your money now. It's a new year, which is a good time for a new start. Great time for a review, to think about what you want to achieve for your financial goals, and perhaps most importantly, to implement them. James Thomas is back in the studio after a very well-earned festive break. He's an independent financial consultant, and he's here. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, which you're allowed to do.
Yes, when do we stop? We must be getting close already.
This is the thing. I'm thinking it's the 8th today. We agreed on the 9th with our previous guest.
Okay.
So I kind of think it's the 10th.
Certainly by the end of the week.
So it's this weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
So after this week, we don't even bother with pleasantries anymore. It's finished. Any financial any resolutions, first of all? What are you going to do this year to grow?
Wow, there's a deep question.
I know. To start with the important stuff. Anything you decided to do? I've got one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I am surprised.
I know, because I've just been the same since you've met me. This year I'm trying, and I kind of introduced this last year, but in the middle of the year, so it wasn't really a resolution. I'm going to try very hard to be far less judgmental, take people as I find them, and understand that they may be having a bad day. So if I'm in traffic, rather than screaming at drivers that cut in front of me or zoom up from, the inside lane, whatever, I'm trying to be
I failed already this morning with that one.
Yeah. If it's not your resolution, you can implement it.
No, but it's still a good resolution to implement.
I don't know how long it'll
Be
last.
nice to people.
Yeah,
nicer to people.
To try, at least. To try to be more understanding,
Yes.
I think. Because there are times when we all do it.
Again, I'm quite serious about it. I think rarely would you talk to someone in this scenario, in person, as you perhaps would when you're shouting at them when they've pushed in front of you. But then,
True.
I'd like to think they probably wouldn't push in front of you if you were waiting in a queue.
It's very different in a car,
it works
isn't it?
both ways, in the sense that you're trying to be more polite to them, but while they're being very unpolite to you.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. I understand that. It's
to be the bigger man, to rise above it.
Well, it is, but
To not get wound up by it. That's the key. It's because you end up with the stress.
Because there's nothing you can
do about it
other than go along with it. So it is better just to realise. Let's take a step back.
Leave 5 minutes earlier. That's what I always say.
Yeah, well, I tried that this morning. I left 20 minutes earlier and I still got stuck. So
Yes.
that didn't work. But
No.
I was, I just think, no, I'll put some music on, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll do whatever, and then I'll get there and I'll still be fine and the day will be better. And actually, it's probably true, because it's that positive mindset thing. People
mindset.
talk about that. And I used to think, no, that's a positive mindset. Nonsense. Stuff and nonsense. But actually, no, to go into something thinking
And
positive,
again, I think I wasn't expecting to go off on this tangent, but
I apologise.
No, don't apologise. It's great, because you asked my resolution. I've always been very.
Well, my guess, because I've known you a few years, is you'd be a little bit cynical over making resolutions.
Yes.
Fair. That's fine.
Only because for some people it's great to have that reset, start again.
Yes.
But if you're already doing the right things, then it's a question of continuing them. So we've had last 2 days of fast start training, we've called it in the office. Really a refresh on and some knowledge.
Knowledge distribution?
Put my teeth in. Distribution,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I did a session on, as we're going to come on to, I'm sure, but protection and critical illness and why that's the fundamental and foundation of financial planning. But we had some sessions on property, on investing, on regular savings. So it's actually been, I was, 2 days of training. Actually, it was really good. It was very positive. It was nice, short, sharp sessions, so you weren't getting overly. Well, they were short enough that you took away from it, but not ended up falling asleep. And then we did some practical get-togethers afterwards and just discussed them. And I found it actually very, Yeah, very positive. It actually reminded us of how many things we can actually offer to our clients and how powerful they are in what they can help our clients do.
This is like a new James Thomas.
I know. How long it's going to last? Well, I'm not sure. But
because I texted you
but then
yesterday.
so that positivity, that just again trying to be that 1% better every day. All these things, and it just leading on from where you came from. There, you think rubbish. But actually, if you do switch your mind and allow that to potentially happen, who knows where we might get to.
Well, see, there's nothing wrong with a reset at the start of the year. I think, it's kind of hackneyed and it's the thing you should do, but there is a reason for it. So with your example there, you start the year with some training. The first week of the new year, it's very hard to kick back into gear, let's face it. And
that's why we've...
universal.
Yes, why we decided to do it this week. We had the Monday just to come back in and tidy up emails, etc. Tuesday, Wednesday, we had a final session yesterday with the CEO of the company just to do a final summary because he's always a very upbeat guy. And actually, I think a lot of people took a lot of positivity from it. Really, even if someone like myself, a quarter of a century in the industry, there's still bits that you can learn because
quarter of a century.
I know, 25 years.
That's frightening.
There's still things, and there's probably things I've forgotten. That it's to remind yourself again, oh, yeah, I used to do that.
But that's a good thing.
Habits.
If you have that attitude after a quarter of a century, and that kind of amplifies the length of time, doesn't it? 25 years in your industry, you're doing it for a reason. There must be something that you get from it. Aside from, okay, you make money, it's your profession, but you must still like it.
Very much so. And I think that again, really highlighted that. You could, again, some of the points we were discussing, should you do X, Y, or Z, or nothing? I think a lot of the time we get bogged down in the detail or the minutiae of which option is best. No. Whether it's red, blue, or pink, do one of those. It's all of those are better than doing nothing.
Than just sitting doing nothing.
Than sitting doing nothing, procrastinating.
Yeah.
Whatever analogy you want to use. I mean, the one that I often use is the planting of the tree. Well, 25 years ago was the better time. You'd now have that fully grown, thick trunked tree that provide you with shade and perhaps fruit or whatever it might be. But the second best time is today because then you get the seed in the ground, get it germinating, get it going. And it's the same thing. A lot of the time, I think we, as a profession, can get hung up on the conversations we've had. Which fund is best? Well, that one may be better than the other one, but both are better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
And it's the same with life insurance. It's better to have something. And again, it's a very cheesy, perhaps a bit of a crass line, but you'd never meet a widow or widower who would complain that their husband or wife had taken out that cover.
Yeah. No,
it may not have been enough, but at least it was something to assist in that time of absolute horror.
So better to do than not do.
Yes.
It's a pretty decent place to start.
It is.
I was going to just say to you, actually, there's another thing that you mentioned there that I think is worth picking up on, and it kind of relates to what we're going to be talking about next. Is you said something that I realised this week that there's still stuff for me to learn.
Yep.
So there's two sides to that. Okay, so you can add to your knowledge, your skill set, your base of understanding, if you like. But it's also the positivity that you gain from that to accept that, okay, I can get better, I can do more.
Even after this time.
Even after 25 years.
Yeah, that there's still improvements that I can make. There's still self-learning, there's still things that I can then implement to help better advise my clients.
Okay, so we're talking resolutions. Today the point is new year, new start. Great time to review what you're doing with your money, what you might be doing this year, what you're thinking about doing. So where do we start with this? I kind of thought this through and came up with a few, I suppose, bullet points again. This was where I was thinking, what are your financial resolutions? And I don't mean resolutions as in New Year's resolutions particularly, although it works as a pun, I suppose. Yes. But a financial resolution is a resolution that you're going to do something.
Exactly.
It's the decision of what they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and I had it divided into two camps. There's people who have not yet done anything, and the people who have already started on their journey, but maybe need to optimize that and re-look at where they are and where they want to go to. Because if we go right back to the the start of the process is that fact-find document and the process of having a discussion about where you want to get to. But obviously that was at that point in time, which is great for the person who's just coming to the discussion. But if you had it 5 years ago, you've changed jobs, perhaps you've got married, you've had child or children, your circumstances are...
It could be vastly different.
To where they were, even I said 5 years, but even maybe in all of those factors, but even in a year, things can change dramatically.
It's a good point. This is Dubai, and things change faster here than anywhere else.
Anywhere else in the world. Again, that was some of the points that we were discussing, that Dubai is not like, we're both from the UK, but more developed, if that's not, I'm not sure I like that word, but older economy, shall we say.
Sure.
Where if we're talking, things move at a much slower pace. If we look at UK, they've been discussing a third runway for our biggest airport for 50 years, maybe. Certainly for Gatwick, the second biggest, for 30 years. Well, here we're going to have a whole new airport within 10 years.
Which is already there.
But...
No, but you're absolutely right.
And it will be functioning and will become the world's biggest airport in that period of time. And I've no doubt that that's exactly what will happen.
Is it 5 runways at Maktoum International?
I think that's what it has provision for, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But why I mentioned that, just as an example, but there's now, one of the points we were discussing was property. And there's EMAR and other developers are building around that area. And an objection was, well, you're going to be on a flight path of 5 runways. It's like, yes, but it's going to be the centre of new Dubai. And obviously, if you've got an airport that can cope with, I think they're talking up to 250 million passengers a year, the infrastructure around that just, again, is going to be equally as vast. So, of course, the city is going to shift that way. And what opportunities that then brings. So that, again, it's just the fact that that's going to happen so much faster, and it just shows that when here things can move at such a fast pace that if we then bring it back to one's financial planning, we need to sit down and review it regularly.
Well, we do, and that's the point about this, isn't it? You can, the things do move. So reviewing financial goals is very important. Yes. And it may well mean as well that you need to reset things.
Yes, but whether to reset or to start, and your point about resolution, as you rightly say, new year, new beginnings, reset, whatever it might be. A lot of people do like to, if not write down, but certainly construct a list of things that they wish to do in the new year, and I think a lot of people will have financial planning as one of those items.
For sure. Yeah.
Again, another cheesy line that's often mentioned is that you have your to-do list, but does this item ever get to the top of the list, or does it always get overtaken by other more pressing things?
See, I set reminders, and then I'll get a reminder on my phone, and it's good in lots of ways. I get a lot more stuff done.
Yep.
I've just got a reminder now about something, so very often I'll just snooze it, and I'll come back to it later because
I need to do that.
No, I'm busy. But there are times when I just think, I'll do that tomorrow, and I reset the alarm for tomorrow, which is, it's okay. I'm telling myself to do it, but I'm still putting it off.
Yes, and this is potentially one of those things because you know you need to do it. But there's potential to be, pain is a strong word, but uncomfortable discussions that are likely to be produced around this subject matter. Because you need to do stuff. You know where you are at the moment is perhaps not as optimal as it could be and should be. But as we've just discussed, 25 years can go in a heartbeat or feels like it. And suddenly, if you haven't made that provision, you're in a much more difficult position to then start to plan. Not impossible, but again, one of the things we were discussing about regular savings. This is a very generic, but every 10 years that pass, the amount you need to save to achieve the same goal doubles. So the early, again, we've said it in our previous discussions, and why I said this is very much a recap, but it's still what bears repeating, I think, that the sooner you get going, the better. Because if nothing else, it gives you the choice of when things start to happen.
Okay, so seize the day.
Seize the day. Push it up to the top of the agenda. Sit down either on your own or preferably with someone like myself, and just start to explore. Again, as I think hopefully you're picking up from our conversations, we're not going to start pulling out brochures at the first opportunity and saying, sign here, sign here, sign here. It's very much a consultative process to get you to open up thought processes and ideas that perhaps haven't even crossed your mind as to do with your financial planning.
Yeah, and the final realization in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever the investment timeline is usually a pretty joyful kind of outcome, isn't it? Let's face it.
Exactly. So going back to that point, is it A, B, or C, or is do nothing? Well, A, B, and C will always leave you in a better position than having done nothing.
Okay, so set goals, reset, review. I found this online. Okay,
Yep.
I think you might like this, or you may want to, I don't know, punch me. I'm not sure. Smart your goals.
Smart
Your goals.
Okay.
Reason for this: establish your financial goals using the SMART process. Specific.
Yep.
Measurable.
Cool.
Achievable. Relevant. I mean, for you.
Yep.
And time-bound.
Timescale.
I thought that was quite good.
Yep.
In a weird kind of a way. The problem is I won't remember what the SMART is. I'll be like, the R was railway? That would be me. But actually, all of those are pretty understandable. So you being very specific, very detailed in your approach. You narrow in, you focus on something. Measurable, obviously. You can see where you are at any given point in time. Achievable. Can I afford this? Okay, right now. Also, could you add to this later on down the road? That's a different thing. Is this relevant? Is this for me? And how long is this for? And those kind of fit with so many of the things that you have said here. And I'm not being rude when I say ad infinitum, because these things need to be repeated. But that seemed quite a good way to do it.
Very much so. I mean, SMART is a very popular sales, training, management tool because for exactly that, because it puts meat on the bones, however you wish to phrase it, rather than just, I want to retire at 60, 65. I want to do this.
You look so wistful there.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what it is. It's just a wistful dream, aspiration. When you start applying those things, so, okay, how am I going to get there? What do I need to do? Can I do it? Can I afford to do it? The timescale was the only part of those, I guess, that you had even vaguely, had a number attached to. The rest of it, and it just then becomes just a dream. Whereas you start to make it more measurable, you make it more accessible and applicable to you. Then guess what? It really starts to happen. You take ownership of that, and it then goes from just a dream, a pipe dream, to becoming actually, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then 5 years in, suddenly, we're now really getting somewhere. And you can see where that's at. Okay, and is it then meeting those SMART goals? Because again, going back to where we just discussed, 5 years' time, things could look very different. But we can reassess. That's the beauty of financial planning, is that we can then pitch and change and readjust and amend that course of action.
See, this is an important thing, I think, to get across. And I don't think we've ever really looked at this or thought about this very much. I think for a lot of people, there's kind of a finality to taking out a savings plan or being involved in a particular scheme, because it's a real commitment. Financial commitment there's a load on your shoulders when you make a financial commitment to do anything.
Yes. I'd counter that to say also it lifts a load, because
quite possibly, but I think just from a lot of people feel that it's a responsibility and therefore it's a pressure. And I understand what you said, but there's a point to this. And I think people worry about that. There's this feeling that, if I get involved in this, I've got to stick to it and I can't ever make any changes and I'm roped in for this amount of time. But that's not necessarily or shouldn't be the case.
No,
unless
I'd like
you've been missold.
Unless you've
something
been
that
missold,
does.
and that's a completely different discussion. But if
sure.
you've been given the right advice, it should not feel like a load on your shoulders. I would very much hope it's the opposite. We have
you
lifted
shouldn't
that
feel
concern that
stuck.
you should not feel stuck. No.
Yeah.
And with the right product and the right planning, that the flexibility and the adjustment is still very much there.
Well, that's the point I was going to make. There should be an option that, okay, if I'm in a situation where whatever happens, I get sick, I lose my job, something happens that you have to, move out for a couple of months, maybe, temporarily stall a plan, for example, you should be able to do that.
And very much you can, yes.
In lots of planning, plans you can. And by the same token, it could be a point 3 years down the road where you think, well, actually, I'd like to put a little bit more into this.
Yes.
So that flexibility is really important to point out.
It is. It's absolutely key part of the planning. But also, a lot of people think, is this a stretch? Well, if you're feeling it's a stretch, then that contribution level is too high.
Yeah.
So bring it back down.
Good.
Because again, I think we've discussed, there's often a thought or a belief that perhaps your excess income is a lot higher than it really is. So
I think a lot of people would like to think that it is.
Precisely.
It's natural.
So therefore, bring it back down, start at a lower level, and then as part of the review process, we can increase, because that's a much easier thing to do. And also from a mindset point of view, I think it feels far more positive. Of course it is. It's far more positive to be increasing and building your retirement plan, as opposed to think, I've started this at an unachievable, unaffordable level, and I now need to reduce it. It's a double whammy that you're having to stop the immediate stopping of the saving, but also what it then means for the longer term strategy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
okay.
Another point is, if you think of inflation, again, perhaps getting a bit technical, but just to keep it at a high level, even at 3%, so in 10 years' time, the effect will have reduced the effective amount of your contribution. Because you'd like to think your salary, your package would have increased over that period of time. So even though while it might feel like you're contributing or committing a lot now, as time progresses, it will naturally drop.
It will work itself out.
It will work itself out.
It will become a natural.
Yes.
It'll be the order of things. Right?
Yes.
I know. It's amazing what we get used to.
And it's that, again, lots of cheesy lines, but paying yourself first. If it's an amount that you're putting away for you, and again, it is part of that mindset. I think there's a lot of thought that, I'm losing that money. It's been taken away from me. No, you're just parking it somewhere else. Think of it as a longer term bank account, or it's not that it's gone. It's just been moved into a slightly different part of your overall finances.
Most of this initial discussion has been about mindset, and it's been about getting I don't know if it's a habit. I suppose part of it is attaining a habit.
It's twofold. It's one, realising in the first place that you need to do something. That where you are at the moment, and again, that's why we're using the new year, new you. Again, lots of cheesy lines, but for a lot of people, these things work. It's realising where you are at the moment is not working, or not that it's not working, that you need to do something to enhance your financial situation.
For sure, yeah.
And then once you've started that process, it's then the mindset of committing to it and continuing with it. And I think that's where my job becomes arguably even more important, is that ongoing review, because a lot of people, I think, get hung up on performance. Oh, it's dropped this, or it's moved there. Well, so what? This is potentially a 10, 15, 20-year strategy. If things go down a few percent in 1 month, it's an irrelevance. And again, that's not to make it sound belittle it, because of course it's your money and it is very important. But if you look at how markets have performed over a 10, 15, 20-year period, even the big drops in my career, the dot-com bubble at the end of the 90s, the financial crisis in 08, 09, the COVID situation in 2020, markets, and I was at school, but I can remember 87, Black Monday, when the markets fell 25% in one day. Within, I think the longest was 2 years, they were back above where they were prior to that collapse. Yeah. So even when things look absolutely dire, if you take a step back and just remember, one, you're going to be buying more units because they're then, or more stock shares of those funds because they have fallen. So actually you're taking advantage of that. And again, just the mindset, spin it on his head, you're getting more units, you're benefiting, because when it does eventually go back up, because again, previous experience will suggest that that's what always happens.
Well, that's the benefit of a long-term view.
And that's the benefit of the long-term view. And that's what we are talking about. Because again, even when these things mature after that 10, 15, 20-year time frame, well, if that's 55, 60, 65, one hopes you've still got 20 years more plus after that. So there's still plenty of time. So it's not that you come to the end of that term and then things stop. No, it's just your circumstances the next stage will change and your next life stage will start. But there'd still be a need for that money probably to be invested and to carry on working for you, just in a different format.
Right then, fair enough. So the long-term view is of really key importance, and understanding that and getting the habit and thinking.
But I appreciate that the hardest part is that first step, taking that leap.
Well, it is, yeah, because it is a leap, isn't it?
Yes.
For a lot of people. Okay. So let's say you're in the situation where this is the new year, and you are actually going to sit down and say, right, where are we going? What are we doing? Where am I and my family now? Yep. Where do I want to be? Where do I want my family to be? The next question is, what's the right way to get there? And then that's where the decision really lies. Okay, I need to go and talk to somebody. Yes. I need to have that blank piece of paper, and James will sit down and analyze my income, my spending. He's going to identify, the fact that I spend far too much on avocado on toast, as the generation are accused of, and all of this nonsense. Yep. But there are certain things that you have to do, and analysing income and spending is kind of the starting point, isn't it?
Very much. Yeah. Because, again, going back to that SMART analysis, until you know where you're at, it's very difficult to then move forward.
Yeah.
Because you're just guessing. And one of the things while we can be very scientific if we wish to, and analytical, is that the reality for most people is somewhere between those 2 points, because it needs to be flexible enough and adjustable enough that it can cope with life's changes. But equally, it needs to be a point that is in line with where you are at. Yeah. So the first stage of that is absolutely to draw up that analysis of where you are. We call it a fact find, but really a piece of paper, what your income, what's coming in, what's going out, and what you're left with at the end of the month. And then very simply, perhaps get your bank statements or log in, probably not sent a statement anymore, but look at the PDF and see, okay, what's come in, what's gone out, what's left at the end. And then from that's actually very useful, because you can then get a trend over the last 6 to 12 months. Because 1 month, especially December, is probably not a good, because there's probably been a lot of discretionary expenditure that wouldn't necessarily normally be there.
That's such a great way to put it. Discretionary spending.
Yeah, but that's what it's for, isn't it? And again, what we've always tried to say is, and I hope you've realised, we're not trying to reduce your standard of living, but it's to make sure that you can continue that standard of living into your retirement.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's to enhance it.
Oh, and even enhance it, absolutely. Well, yeah. But yes, obviously Christmas time, maybe you've travelled, maybe you've just bought presents, done both, whatever it may be, gone out partying, enjoyed yourself. That's, at the end of the year, you've had a good year. absolutely reward yourself. But now's the time to reward your future self by starting to plan for that person.
Okay, so that's a good way to put it, actually. So you reward your future self, you analyze your income and spending, and one of the things that, one of the benefits of doing that as well is to kind of identify any of those spending traps, the hidden things, or maybe not so hidden things that you probably shouldn't be spending. I don't know, little things like you've got a membership, an online membership of something you don't use anymore.
How many TV
Very easy to forget.
channels, or not channels, but packages are you signed up for?
Sure.
When did you last even log on to them? If you're on them regularly, great, they're good value then for you. But if you've got 3 or 4 and you're actually only using 1 or 2, well, bin the other ones. Have you got a gym membership? Are you going? Is it,
Well, that's very relevant this time of year.
Exactly. It's another, certainly often in that basket of resolutions, it's personal fitness and healthcare, which is, again, very admirable thing to be focusing on. But if you signed up last year and maybe went once or twice, didn't like it, but still ended up paying for it for the year, just in case you did change your mind, then...
I feel like gyms get bashed in January
They
by
do.
people who,
I think it's
that's
unfair.
really
It's not
unfair.
their fault.
No,
Yeah.
it isn't their fault. But, very often that's the case, isn't it? That's often one of the resolutions, I suppose. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just out of date. I don't know. But these are things that you can do something about. And it's not to bash gyms or to bash TV
indeed.
shows. But there are many kind of annual
Whatever it might
subscriptions
be.
that maybe come up. And you think, do I really need that? Is
Yeah.
this something? And all of these things mount up. Something came through the other day and I thought I'd cancelled that. And so,
it's just to do an audit. And again...
That's the word.
An
Just
audit of your
yourself.
personal, and
Yeah,
again, it's not the most exciting of tasks, but get a coffee, whatever it might be, sit down probably only take you half an hour to an hour, especially if you've got your online banking. Just log in, see where you're at. Have a look through those statements, because once we get back up to full speed, if you're not already, these things get forgotten about, and suddenly we're into March, April, summer's coming, and it's all been forgotten about. So it's just to put it, while it's front and centre and people are thinking about it a bit more, is to actually, one, do that audit, just that tidy up and review of your situation. And then, like I say, I would hope come to talk to someone like myself who can give you some expert advice, some guidance of what the next steps are.
Okay. So another thing, we haven't mentioned this, but it's a good time as well to make sure that one of the real fundamentals of financial planning is accounted for, i.e. your emergency fund. And if you dipped into the emergency fund...
If you've dipped into it, to restock it.
Restock your emergency fund, yeah. That's a good time to do that as well. The other thing I was thinking was to reconsider or to consider new, perhaps, your insurance policies.
Always. Again, as part of that audit. And again, if you're looking at what payments are already going out, if one of them's for life insurance, critical illness, is it enough? Is it the right policy? Is it doing what you want it to? Should it be added to? Is it needed anymore?
I like the pause there. Is it enough?
Is it enough?
Yeah, but that's really what you have to ask yourself, isn't it?
It is. And again, this is what we say, this audit of most companies will produce financial audits. A lot of people I know were busily preparing those for year end. I know other different companies have different timescales, but a lot of companies run on the calendar year, so that's just been done. Well, do the same for yourself, because we're here in a largely tax-free environment. People are earning tax-free income. So it's actually quite a simple calculation, because you can see what's come in and what's gone out. There's no worry to HMRC or IRS or whoever it may be to then write them a check for a significant amount of your income. You can, but also to look at what's come in, what's gone out. Well, where are you at? Are these things the most efficient and applicable to where you are now? Have things changed in the past year?
Okay, so let me throw a spanner in the works for a moment, all right?
Okay.
We are in And I think we always say this. I think the times that we're in are always less than stable. Markets are always volatile, or very often volatile. There's always uncertainty. And I think a lot of people would argue that, and in lots of cases, rightly so. And
Yes.
it seems like at the moment, there is a great deal of uncertainty geopolitically. The US and
undoubtedly.
Venezuela, for example,
Yes.
is
Yep.
on the radar just now. So there's always that wariness in the markets. What do you say when people say to you, "Look, I just don't want to jump in right now. It's too volatile. It's too this. It's too that." When because the news is always doom and gloom, and it's always the end of the world, isn't it? Although
is.
clearly it's not.
And that's the flip side of it. Let's go back. I have some various charts and information, as you might expect. If you
bet you
go
do.
back, as far as the Second World War or First World War, so 100 plus years ago.
Do you threaten people to? I'll get my spreadsheet out. Here we go. Sit down with me.
But it's just to highlight the fact that
Yeah.
there's always uncertainty, and a very common UK, and it's not used anymore, probably for hygiene reasons. But today's news is tomorrow's chip paper.
Yeah.
And that's not to belittle that, but it's the fact that there will always be something. If there wasn't, we'd live in an incredibly dull world. Now, maybe you'd argue we want to at the moment, but the reality is there is always something going on. Whether we are made aware of it, and again, by the news channels that we receive, and yes, perhaps with the modern age of social media and in fact we're online so much more, I think we've probably fed a lot more of that, and the way it's fed is perhaps more
It's direct to your device.
direct to your
James.
device, and
Yeah.
it's more, what's the word I'm looking for, sensationalist, perhaps, because it's to get your attention.
Yep. Clickbait. Fair.
It's not the very post voice from the BBC, and just very.
That was very good.
It was terrible, but my point being, it was one channel, maybe at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever time it was, whereas now it's there all the time. You pick your phone up, there's a
News is-
headline flashing across the top of your phone.
News is omnipresent,
You
you're right.
click on your social media accounts, it's there. And it's different opinions, and sometimes it's good, often it's bad, because sadly bad news sells more than good news.
It's very true.
So my point and counter to that would be, yes, there is always uncertainty, but that uncertainty creates opportunity, again, without wishing to be too cheesy, but that's the reality. If everything was flat, there would be no, look at how the flip side of all this tech is those tech companies are now some of the most valuable on the planet. And people who've invested in those have made significant gains over the past few years. If they hadn't been invented, that's the right word, and been utilised and accessed by so many people around the planet, that would not have been the case. So what's next? Well, there will be ups, there will be downs. Yes, of course, Venezuela is the headline at the moment, probably, but there will be equally good news stories that will come over the course of 2026, I'm sure, and those will create opportunities. And if we look at more broadly AI and again the tech sector, I think there will still be many more companies that we haven't heard of yet.
Yeah, for sure.
That will probably overtake Apple, Google, Facebook, Netflix, you name it, and will be the opportunities for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So that would be my argument, is now is always the right time is the right time for you. And especially if you're investing regularly, it's, again, I won't say it's an irrelevance, but it becomes less of an issue because you will be drip feeding into the market. And like the example I used earlier, if markets were to fall, well, you will be able to buy more units on the way down. If we're then using professional fund managers who are buying stocks and shares in companies they believe still have good opportunities, when the market turns, which again, it has always done, what we don't know is when that turn will be. You would have benefited from that buying on the downturn.
And if you take advantage of the opportunity and think to yourself, I want to do something,
Yes.
and you see that your money is doing something, even if you're not massively au fait or very up with the jargon or have never really had a great
listen
interest.
back to our previous
Well,
jargon busters.
This is the thing.
But yes.
You start to see things happening. You start to gain some interest. You start to gain
I
more
think
insight.
also
There's that side.
to be involved opens your knowledge or just creates that interest in that area that perhaps you just dismissed because you thought it was too risky. But actually there are always, as again I always say, there's always a solution for everyone, from the most cautious to the most aggressive. Most people, as you might expect, sit in that middle ground. And if the right vehicle is used, then even if it were to fall, and like I say, we're not looking to be day traders. We're not going in, going out, trying to make those small margins.
Yeah.
The strategies that I implement with my clients, as I say, 5, 10, 15, 20-year terms. What goes on today will be long forgotten by the time that they need to utilise that savings. So, again, as difficult as it sounds, take a step back. Remember, it's not as important, or as it's not a reason to not do something.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. Now, whether have I made my case as strongly as I can? Hopefully. What I'm trying to say is it isn't as important as perhaps you think it is, even though that makes it sound as though it's not, which is not what I'm trying to say.
I know where you're going.
Do something, because the worst, again, if you just don't do anything, what were the implications of that? I would argue that's still far worse than doing something, even if you believe the markets to be uncertain.
Move forward. Okay. And if the markets, the thought of investing in markets scares you, if you feel as though you don't understand it, financial acronyms and jargon, Google's your friend, of course, so you can always get to the bottom of jargon. And if somebody's using too much jargon around you, if you're...
like I've always said, if I start using 3-letter acronyms, start trying to blind you with technical information, then
ask questions.
Either ask questions, or or go to someone who doesn't do that. Yeah.
All right, then, fair enough.
Because again, you know what assuming does. I'm not sure we're allowed to say that, so I won't. But it's that, don't assume, and I would never assume whoever I'm speaking to, whether it's, and again, to belittle, everyone deserves, as you know, best advice that I can give them, whether they're the most junior member of staff or the CEO.
Sure.
And again, never assume that the CEO has any more knowledge on financial planning than the junior member of staff. They're busy running their business.
As many would agree with you there, I'm thinking. It's expensive these days. Yeah. It's hard to budget. Everything costs money. It's always more expensive than it was. It's just how things are. Times are tough. Just very briefly, we've got 30 seconds.
Okay.
What do you say when people say to you, look, I can't save? What's your answer to that? How do you either get through to people forcefully, or how do you empathise?
I do empathise, but then I say, you must save, because what are the implications of not doing something? They are far worse.
Okay.
We're talking about maybe a brunch a month. We're talking about, again, you mentioned the avocado on toast, but that I don't like, because I don't think that's fair.
I know you
but it's still, there is always a way, even if it's not today. But the fact that you're starting it, and you then start that budgeting journey to get to the point where you can do, that's still just as important.
You are full of New Year's energy today.
I'm trying to be.
You are. I see a new James Thomas. I like him. Independent financial consultant, James Thomas. Always appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Good to talk to you.
And you.
It's The Morning Drive, Mira Business FM. Like, subscribe wherever you join us from. Find us on social media to feedback. We always appreciate that. And everything we do is available to listen and or watch again. And comment on if you would like. Find us where you get your podcasts. Just search Mira Business FM.